introduce them as well. But tell me where you're from, who you are, where you're from, what's your platform about, what is your message for the conference, and what is one good thing that you want to see happen from this conference. So let's start with Dr. Renee since she was the first one on.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Eleanor Renee Rodriguez. I go by Dr. Renee most affectionately. I am in Hampton, Virginia right now. I am on a mission to make certain that not one child is left behind. My career has been focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion with a background in special education. And now I've learned that I need to change that vocabulary around so to meet the current needs of the financial status of our union at this point. But I am a person who there's no exception to any child not getting what they want. I what's good thing come out? I get to meet some new people. I get to pronounce some new names. I get to network with other folk and try to make the world a better place, simply.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Renee. And I got a chance to meet two of y'all on my journey. The one new person I got a chance to meet was Bishop Barlow. So Bishop, who's not really a bishop, but Bishop Barlow is going to introduce himself today.
You stole my introduction there. I've learned that when I introduce myself, there's a couple things I have to clarify. Number one is my name is Bishop, but I am not an actual bishop.
Okay.
That's my name. So that's my fun introduction about myself. Another thing I like to tell about myself is obviously I don't have hair. I lost my hair when I was 9 years old, and now I'm 26. So it's been 17 years of not having hair. And we talked, and Chris mentioned that he bought my book, which I highly recommend for anybody because I think my book is a really good book. But my book is called Look in the Mirror. It's my story of losing my hair to alopecia. And it's also a story for people to find their identity and confidence in God. And coming from a Christian background, that's a lot of my message is that's where you find your identity and confidence. But I also understand that some people don't come from the same beliefs that I do, and I want to respect that. And so my message is simply to people that you can use your story to help others. And whether you're a Christian or not, you can do that. And so what I like to do is help people. I don't like to tell people, here's the 5 steps to finding confidence. When I talk about being the confident you, that's what my message and platform is on. I like to tell people it's all a life journey. Just here's some suggestions. So even the suggestions that I give to people, I still fail at them every day because life is a journey. We're not going to have it all figured out just quite yet. But that's what I like to help people do is to utilize that everyone has a purpose and everyone can use their story to help others.
Awesome. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you. And again, thank you for trusting our brand with your brand. So thank you with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Zamin, well, I should say the guy with the Z, I want him to say his own name.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zamin Jones, and basically, what I'm here for is to help other people feel confident in themselves, just as Bishop said, but most importantly, figure out their why and connect to their powers, and also figure out their purpose. Um, I first started this off because it took me a minute for me to actually step into my purpose. I'm a senior in college. So next fall, or in the fall, I'll be a senior in college at St. Elizabeth University. I'm a kid from Newark, New Jersey, and I want to help a lot of other people, most importantly, the youth, figure out their purpose and be able to navigate life in a better way than I had growing up and help other people figure out their identities and connect to their true self. I had a lot of struggles growing up knowing my identity outside of what was around my environment, especially playing sports at a really young age, thinking that my identity was connected to a lot of like outside sources, whether it was, like I said, my environment, a sport, other people's opinions and stuff like that. So I want to help other people on this platform to be able to just help them understand that they're going through what they're going through for a reason and that it's not going to be lasting forever. So they have to make the best out of their situation. So that's my main goal. And also, I make content on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm also a speaker at my school and off campus. So I'm just looking to build a network and also build a bunch of other people's trust. So then, they could be able to trust my words and my wisdom and could be able to connect with my story to, let them know that they could do it too.
Good deal.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, and just the growth. We got a chance to connect with Zamin. Actually, Nikki was there too when we were in APCA in Hershey. So just to be able to see him here is a blessing. Talk about the power of connection and growth. I'm just, definitely. How can we find you on TikTok? Or I know I've been watching your TikToks or your Instagram. You've been on one or the other, but which one?
I've been posting consistently for about a month um on Instagram and TikTok. So it's King Chosen, Kiing Chosen. And then TikTok is Chose the Ruler.
Good. And I really want us to be able to, the whole purpose of this event as speakers, whenever you're in rooms like this, you want to, I'm always just writing down their screen names and writing down their organization. I'll immediately go to like LinkedIn or I'll go into, and connect because the speaker world is really small when you really get a hold of it and you start seeing the same people over and over again. But you never know who you're in the room next to, who can open a door for you, who you can open a door for someone else. So definitely take time to connect with the people that are on the conference as well. You'll get a workbook that has all of our contact information. Reach out, tell them how much the word inspired them, your message inspired them, because that could be the encouragement that builds them up. Last but not least, Nikki, we're doing introductions. So we're just asking, Nikki's from what way? You tell us where you're from. I know all of y'all, so from different parts of my life, but it's just tell them who you are, where you from, what your message is about, and one thing that you want to get from this conference for yourself.
Hello, everyone. It's great to see a few familiar faces. And Dr. Renee, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. So I live in Melbourne, Australia. So this is good morning to you, I'll say, or good day to y'all. Um, but I am American. I grew up in California. I am absolutely thrilled to be given the opportunity this year to connect with the things and the people and the geographic locations that I love the most. So just a little bit about me. I have been in Australia for 16 years. That started as when I got in the working world, I took on a global position and ended up finding myself down here. I met a guy, thought he was pretty cool, married him, then had a baby with him, and then thought the guy really wasn't that cool. So got rid of the guy, kept the kids, kept the country. And here I am still 16 years later. But what that led me to is my true Prince Charming. So sometimes that has, we just have to be open to, sometimes life has to, bring us to places. And, sometimes we go through experiences and we go, why me? Why me? Why did I have to go through that? Well, maybe that experience was a stepping stone to the greatest experiences in your life, your purpose, your calling, everything that was going to come forward. But you just had to, just take a little stumble on that pebble because there's a big boulder ahead of you that was strong and stable. And so I now look at this opportunity. Came back to the U.S., had an opportunity to start speaking in the U.S. Just recently in this year. Now, I've been building my speaking skills in Australia for about the last decade, and speaking about my story. I have a best-selling book. I'm an international speaker, best-selling book, and a little bit about my story. My life began in chaos, but it gave me my voice. And for over 30 years, I lived in a cycle of trauma and addiction and self-destruction. And I brought that with me, and I'll tell you what, if you've ever wanted to pull a geographic and think that moving to a new country is going to, you're gonna leave all your problems behind, no, they sneak in your suitcase. I don't know how, but suitcases are not airtight. They get in all your past, your traumas, your hangups, your habits, your lack of self-worth. It all comes with you. So I have battled addiction, and I've battled mental health issues, postpartum depression, things like that. And I rebuilt myself, and I rebuilt myself. And it wasn't linear, and it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't, what you hear about. I went to this Hollywood rehab for 30 days, and it was like a resort, and had massages 4 hours a day and yoga classes. And now I've never looked back. I'm perfectly fine. No, it's a daily blessing to be alive.
Yeah.
And I live such an attitude of gratitude. And I mean, literally, any email you get from me, my sign off signature is with gratitude, because I know that I should not be here, but I am. And there's a reason why I am. And there's a reason why my higher power has me here. And I have been doing a lot of advocacy work in my sobriety. And that advocacy work has, it's put me in the middle of gunfights with a butter knife, where I've gone up against, here in Australia with Parliament, and that's what we call our government. I've stood in front of politicians about policy change, about systemic change, with their big guns pointed at me, and things like alcohol, tobacco, firearms, big pharma. And there's a lot of little fish with that can scream, and we have big voices, but it takes a lot of courage and bravery to stand firm in your convictions. And that's kind of the basis of my story. So the title of my keynote is Unmute Your Power, because we all have power inside of us. We all have more power inside of us than we could potentially know. And why is because most of us never meet our true potential. Why don't we meet our true potential? Because it requires wading through a lot of muck. And, I like to think of it as, if you think of a well where all of the data that has been collected about you and your life is in that well. From the time you were born, it's all there. It's all in that well. And, most people like to hang out on the surface levels where they can still see the light. They might dip a toe in every once in a while. And that first layer of that's, just memories, maybe a few heartaches, maybe a few lost opportunities. It's not pleasant to, put your feet in the mucky waters of the well, but, it's okay, because we know that, life isn't perfect and we're not perfect. So, we'll go there and we'll feel the pain, but we're not going to get our heads under the water where we can't see or breathe. And there's some courageous few, or there's some few that have just been through life experiences that are way out of their control, where they have had to put on scuba gear, and they have had to go down those layers of the well, and they've had to explore the unconscious hurts, maybe the repressed trauma. They've had to do some work on it. They've had to, clear the muck so that the clean water could come out. And it was dark and a bit of a process. And then most people don't like to go there, but you have to sometimes.
I can't wait to hear your full speech when you do yours, because this is the whole purpose of the CHAMPIAM Summit, is that we can be able to help people to pivot. And you'll be surprised, because we have a lot of people that have suffered addiction, and every year, every cycle this is our third cycle. So every cycle we get addiction coaches. I'm loving that, because y'all are great examples of what it is to rise, like the phoenix, rise from the ashes and create the life that you need after that. So there is hope. So I appreciate your story on that.